So anyway, without any further ado, Evan is, some of you may know or don't know, but Evan joined Rotaract in 1999. So he's one of those certainly gems that we are able to mine from Rotaract and migrate them into our Rotary Club as Rotarians. And so that's pretty precious. He is a past president of his Rotary Club, the Ponds Rotary Club in Sydney. And so he's runs a kind of a he's a digital media consultant, kind of helps a lot of small businesses there in Sydney and serves a lot of ways with Rotary International. You guys are still publishing the Rotary Down Under magazine, is that right, Evan?
We are indeed, yes.
So that's pretty fantastic, and he contributes to that as well. He's served on many committees with RI and made a couple of trips to Evanston as part of his committee work, and then has traveled all over the world speaking at district conferences and a variety of training sessions. And if I'm not mistaken, probably since the whole COVID-19 thing has kind of come down and restricted our travel movement, you've spoken to well over 40 Zoom conference calls, I think, if I understand that right. So highly sought after speaker, is going to challenge our thinking in a lot of different ways. And so we're just super excited to have Evan with us this evening. So Evan, good evening or good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you kindly. Thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate the reaching out to me, and I'm glad I could be here to join your meeting. I'm a bit jealous. I see Mackenzie looked like she's drinking a White Claw there as well. So it's a little bit early for all that for me here. But again, thank you very much, and it's nice to see you again, Jeff. Yeah, we had a great time. I really enjoyed the Michigan GSE team, and I think you're from Pigeon, aren't you? Pigeon, Michigan, or something like that. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that had always stuck with me. Yeah. So thank you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my presentation, and I will, if I'm able to share my screen. Okie dokie. Let me all know if you can see that.
It's all good.
Beautiful. Just put that up here. I'll okay, let me just. I'm just going to bring down. There we go. Okay, so my presentation is I'm talking about how to be a passionate storyteller. And for me, this is a really important aspect of what we do with our Rotary clubs, certainly in a way of attracting people to participate in our community events or come along to our meetings or become potential members. And it's especially important now during COVID-19, where a vast majority of us are now sort of restricted to our homes and stuck on the computers and all that sort of thing, is that we need to deliver our kind of stories a little bit better. So let's forward this on. Oops, okay, so I'm pretty much this is my kind of what I'm known for is the Rotary superhero. Some of you may have, if you look at me now, you see the little superhero pins that I had made up. You know, my business card. So I really got into the whole superhero sort of identity, the iconography of it, obviously because I'm a big Superman fan. And this sort of particular thing really worked well for me because people kind of understand already what the ethos of Superman is and superheroes and doing good in the world. And I always thought that sort of Rotarians, you know, in some respects are kind of the modern day superheroes. So I sort of created this type of image, you know, blatantly ripped off Superman, but it seemed to resonate really well with Rotarians, and it's gotten a lot of traction. So, you know, I'm a Rotarian, what's your superpower? And this is the sort of, as I said, storytelling. This is the sort of story that I think people get excited about, and people can kind of relate to, and they you know feel they sort of go along with that type of idea. It doesn't work with everybody, obviously, but at least the guy's giving it a go. So I'm really proud to be a Rotarian. As Jeff said, I joined Rotaract in 1999, and I've been affiliated with Rotaract for 12 years, and then Rotary. So, you know, I'm coming up to now my 21 years. I really get as much value as I can out of my membership. So I participate in, conventions and I go to as many Rotary things as I can, and I sort of stand at the top of the mountain and scream out as much good stuff about Rotary as I possibly can. As evidented by my Rotary suit, which I had made up last year. I'm not afraid of coming forward. I'm certainly a very, Jeff is the only person I believe who's met me in person, so he can attest to the fact that I'm very loud and big and out there and all the rest of it. And so this suit only adds to it. And the reason I had this suit made was predominantly for when I speak at, the conferences and all that sort of thing. If people are going to forget what I say, they're certainly not going to forget what I'm wearing. So, if I could, I'd wear this out in the street all the time. As a funny, I went to the UK last year for my some conferences over there, and I wore this suit after my presentation. I wore it for my presentation, and then after it, we went out into the main town, and the amount of looks I got from people, the head turns and all the rest of it, and I got some, positive, and I got some negative, but I can assure you that a vast majority of those people would have certainly Googled Rotary or why are you wearing a Rotary suit. So it sometimes can work. But look, let me talk a bit about the perceptions of Rotary that do sort of permeate throughout the community, and when I talk to people who may have a passing idea of what Rotary is, I say, well, what are the perceptions? So this is what I've sort of found. The first perception is this. So I'm not getting as many laughs as I normally would on this. So this that we're basically the Rotary's just old men, the old dudes from the Muppet Show, and looking at Jeff and look at some of the other past district governors or the district governors, can't be too far from the truth. But so we're seen as a bit of an old and stale type, organization, which is a great shame. Because we want to try and move on from that. The next perception is that we all meet here, the Rotary Club of Jurassic Park. We meet behind those big gates. I expect the Rotary Club of Jurassic Park are probably not meeting on Zoom, but if they are, I haven't yet spoken to that club. The next perception is that some people think we're a bit of a secret society. There's the Grand Poo bars and do all the handshakes and all that sort of thing, which is certainly... Look, I've been in Rotary now for 21 years, as I said, and I'm yet to find out whatever the secret handshakes or the book of secrets are. So I may have to level up to find out that information. The next perception is we're an organisation that's obsessed with food and obsessed with particularly chickens. During our traditional types of meetings, everything is very food centric. We have either breakfast meetings or little dinner lunches or dinner meetings, and it's all very, we need as many people to come because we need to have the caterers, and we're very focused on food. So it's nice to see with COVID-19 is that, we can still do Rotary without needing all this kind of extra stuff. We're known for having great guest speakers come along to our meetings. So hopefully, if I see there's Mimi Harrington has just yawned. I spotted that. I spotted that there. So, we just give out big checks. That's what we're known for. And when I Googled this image, I put into Google image search, big check presentations, and I got like 100 hits, and 99 of them were Rotary. So we certainly cornered the market in big check presentations. So what that sort of ties into, though, is tradition holding us back as an organization. I know that you guys saying you know, we're about to do the pledge, and you know, I've been on some Zoom meetings where people are holding up and dinging the bells and the pledges, and we're singing the anthems, and we're doing all this other kind of stuff. And so I think to myself, you know, COVID-19 has given us a great opportunity to do things a little bit differently. So why are we bringing stuff that we've done in the past? Why are we bringing it into this new platform? We should be thinking of ways of doing something anew as best as we can. So, you know, it's what we've done over the years holding us back a little bit. You know, as I said, the bells and whistles. I will say I had the misfortune of being on a Zoom meeting where there was about 35 people on the call, and they all sang the Rotary song at the end of it, and everybody was unmuted, and it was all, you know, the song is ROTARY, that spells Rotary. Well, have that 35 people sing that at the same time. Yeah, I quickly had to leave that meeting. So, you know, we don't really sing too many songs in Australia. They're certainly very popular in America, but on Zoom, yeah, maybe the acoustics aren't so great. So I understand, though, that we do have to follow the Rotary rules, and but you know, it's a golden opportunity for us to create some new traditions. But that sort of equals change, and this is the reaction I get from Rotarians when we talk about change. You know, we just don't like doing it. But I've been so overwhelmed by how quickly we've had to adapt in the last little while. So it does work, you know. And as that saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, you know, to be honest, you know, in some respects in Rotary land, it's not really okay. Membership is falling in America, falling in Australia, the United Kingdom, Canada, you know, New Zealand. It's certainly blooming in places like in Southeast Asia and India and those sorts of places. So we've got to think to ourselves, what's broken? How are we able to fix that? And my philosophy is that we need to be better at telling our stories and giving people that value proposition on why they should participate in our clubs, why they should become Rotarians. Because to me, it's vitally important, the work that we do, and the pride that I have of being involved in this fantastic organisation. And I just wish others would share the same passion. So we need to be able to tell Rotary's story. We've got a fantastic story to tell, individual story to tell, and we just need certainly ways to do it. So the way that I've been sort of telling that story is, as I said, through my sort of superhero, and you know, people have been awarded superhero pins, and I did have one of my certificates, if you can bear with me for a bit. So, you know, the Rotary Superhero Award that I had, if you can see that I had made up to recognise people in the clubs, or certainly in the community, that, you know, you're a superhero in your community. And a hero is an ordinary person doing things in an extraordinary way. And honestly, I feel that is us, that encapsulates us as an organisation, that we are doing these amazing things. Now, and of course, you know, there's some of the imagery that goes along with that. But unlike Superman, though, we are not rescuing cats out of trees. And I make the joke, unless it's an absolute awesome fundraiser for your club, rescuing cats out of trees, and I say go for it. Honestly, I can't see Jeff climbing up a tree to get a cat out, but you know, you probably give it a good go. But we do, you know, we don't rescue cats out of trees, but we are ending polio. You know, we are going to be an organisation that wipes this disease off the face of the earth. And of course, with COVID-19, that certainly hasn't helped, but we will get there eventually. We transform people's lives. We transform the lives of those in our communities. You know, I say if Rotary wasn't around, you know, what would happen to all those people that need our help and assistance? You know, we connect with each other, and we connect with those people that need our help. We inspire each other, and we inspire people to reach for their best in Rotary, and inspire others to do their best. when we give people the opportunities to be empowered with certainly the training and the skills to do things, empowered to feel confident enough to be able to speak at meetings, say, for example, or engage with people, or just feel empowered that they know that the work that they're doing is appreciated. And we have fun. And I think this is the main point in why, in some respects, why Rotary works, is that there can be some fun elements to it. And I always say, if we're not having fun, what's the point of us being involved? So I always try to look for the fun side of Rotary, and I share that, via social media. And so, certainly what I've been saying over the last little while is that, Rotary isn't cancelled, it's just different. And so we need to maintain that while this coronavirus has knocked us around, the Rotary wheel still has to turn. And so we're still getting involved, and we're still thinking of ways to engage. And I don't think it's a time now for us to think about raising money or fundraisers, but it's a time for us as a membership base to keep connected with our members and then keep connected with our community. And it kind of rolls into my next slide, is that the Rotary International theme for the current year. Now, there's a lot of Rotarians who probably don't really care too much about the annual themes, or think it's a waste of money, or it's, doesn't inspire them or anything like that. And I understand that sort of talk, but I couldn't think of a more appropriate Rotary theme than the one right now, Rotary Connects the World. And it's so true, because we have been forced into this new way of meeting, is that, I've heard of Rotarians joining Zoom meetings from all over the world and doing things that they wouldn't normally do. So it's a great opportunity for us to connect further with each other. And it leads on to our next year's theme, which is Rotary Opens Opportunities. And so the doors of opportunity have been open to us. It's up to us to be able to go through that door and reach out. And so to do that, we've got to use social media. This is where the conversation is. 2 billion people are using Facebook each month. 900 million people are on Instagram. People are using TikTok and Snapchat and all these other ones. Some of you here don't look like you're big users of TikTok, but some of you are. I'm on TikTok, certainly on my Facebook page. But this is where the conversation is happening. People are, the two-way conversation via social media. It's, when you think about newspapers or television, they're only just talking one way to you. You cannot talk back. But social media gives us all that opportunity to be able to engage. And so this is where Rotary and our clubs need to be able to position themselves to reach out to that audience, to follow what I'm doing. And my lead is to post interesting things, post great graphics and photographs, stories, and keep working on getting that engagement. But I must stress, though, it's not about the like. So if you have a Rotary Club page and you've posted something and you don't get too many likes, it doesn't matter. What it is, it's about how you're creating that positive story. So when people ask me, what does Rotary do? I just say, look, Rotary, we help people. It's what we do. And I create that kind of positive story, that positive narrative. But it's also about making it personal. And I've been Facebook friends with Jeff for quite a long time, and he's certainly seen over the years the different things that I get up to with Rotary. And people can take an investment in someone's life in making that sort of personal connection. Oh, look, Evan's here at the convention. Oh, that's great. Or, I'm painting over graffiti, or I'm being a Rotary rapper, or whatever it is at the bottom of the screen there. So it's about making it personal. It's about taking an interest in someone's life. It's also about having fun. And, if the past Rotary International President Barry Rassin can have fun with a Snapchat filter, then there's no excuse for us all not to have fun. Or even dressing up as a giant jar of Vegemite.
Yeah.
So.
Yuck.
You guys don't know what you're missing. Hey, listen, I went to Pennsylvania and these people are eating Scrapple. I'll tell you what, I think I'd rather have Vegemite over Scrapple any day of the week. Thank you very much. God, I've been to America numerous times. You guys are eating some pretty bad stuff over there. So Vegemite isn't that bad. It's an acquired taste. Even Tom Hanks recently got he put on like, laid it on super thick, and even Australians like, hey, geez, Tom, that's a little bit too much. It's got to be spread thin. But
all right, Evan,
anyway.
can you explain like a 2-sentence explanation of Vegemite?
So Vegemite is a yeast extract. It is a black condiment. You predominantly put it on toast, a very buttery toast, and you spread it, say, if my finger here. So as you'd expect, it's a very bitter, savory taste, salty, and you don't, people assume that, you get a big thick dollop. That's way too much. You've just got to use a little bit of just the tip of just the tip of the knife. You spread it very thin, but it's full of vitamins and minerals, and it's really good stuff. Sometimes I say the only way Americans will eat Vegemite is if they put, heaps of sugar in it, because everything is very saccharine in America.
Fair. I'm not going to fight you on that.
The only way I would touch that if it was a cure for COVID-19.
Well, look, I tell you what, don't tell President Trump, because he seems to be giving out all these kind of cures. So he may eventually get onto Vegemite as a cure for coronavirus. I don't know. It might help our, I don't know whether it would help hinder our reputation of Vegemite in the world, but don't knock it until you try it. Okay. But you got to try it properly. It's a really good spread. Anyway, I digress. So stepping back, so how do we use social media to attract diverse members? And I think this is the key for our organization moving forward and being progressive, is that, we need to be able to hand over our organization to those next generations. So, the wrong slide, here we go. No, that's it. So, when I say the next generation, I don't mean these guys. I don't mean the original founders of Rotary, Paul Harris and his friends, the Fab Four. I'm talking about this generation, particularly our alumni. Rotary International really, or our clubs and districts really have a poor track record of keeping our alumni participants engaged with the Rotary program. Rotaract, Interact, youth exchange, group study exchange, ambassadorial scholars, and they come through our programs and they get those sorts of benefits of participating, Rotaractors as well, but then they sort of disappear into the ether. So we need to be able to focus on what we can give to the next generation for them to be involved with our clubs and keep Rotary going forward, but also not just limit it to people or younger people, but people from sort of different people from different religions or sexual orientations or ethnicities or political persuasions or whatever. There should be no reason, or there should be that someone can't get involved in Rotary. There should be no barriers to someone to be able to be to help some others in need. So we should look to always see what else we can do to engage people to be involved with our club. So stepping back to social media again, and I say social media is a visual medium. So things going forward, we've always got to make sure that we look professional and that we have a professional approach to what we do, and have pictures always tell those great stories. And inspiring images, they get actions, they get results, they get feedback on social media and all that sort of thing. And so this image is, where will Rotary take you? And it's kind of that open up, all our Rotary journeys are a little bit different. I've been fortunate, as I said, to be involved in Rotaract, and I've had the great fortune of participating on a higher level with Rotary and committees and going to conventions and meeting different people and all this sort of thing. So my road's a little bit different, but it's this is the sort of thing that you put to new members or you put on social media. Where will Rotary take you? What will your journey be? Now, while I talk about social media and all the rest of it, I always have to push the point, though, that we always need to make sure that we maintain sort of the uniformity and professional look. So if we are putting things out on social media, we've always got to make sure we use the proper logos. And I can never do a presentation without mentioning this, because I still see it to this day. So this one at the top is our master brand. This is the proper logo, and then the mark of excellence. Now, assuming, as I've seen on you guys are actually using the right logo with the badass Rotary logo underneath there, and it's really good to see. But I still see these logos permeating, and it just looks terrible that everybody's trying to look professional and we're still using this old stuff. So I can't not do a presentation without talking about that. So when I say about a visual story, we need to think of ways of what stops and engages an audience, particularly on social media. What stops them from scrolling for that 2 seconds? And so, as I said, images get reactions and get actions. And this is me pointing out to my friend Alexis that her tattoo now doesn't meet the branding guidelines. And so she certainly gave me some sound advice on what I should do with my opinion on that. But it's a great way of sort of engaging that kind of audience. Or you could be having a meeting at in Antarctica or Antarctica, or you could be meeting people overseas. This is my friend Michael, who was doing a project in Ghana, and got some kids there. So it's actually brings your attention to what he's doing. Or this is my other favorite photograph that I always sort of stop and talk a little about, and it's from the Rotary Club of Woolgoolga in the state of New South Wales in Australia, where Sydney sort of is based. It's about 4 or 5 hours from Sydney. And so what caught my attention on this is, why is there a 12-foot tall Indian man kissing a fish? So it made me stop on the image for a little bit and to find out a little bit more. So what this story behind this image is that the Rotary Club in that area of Woolgoolga, they hold a pelagic spearfishing competition. So professional spearfishers from all around the world descend on this small town. They go out and they catch the fish, and the fish actually get given to the Rotary Club, and the Rotary Club then auctions them off. So it's an auction event, and it's a great money spinner for the club. They make quite a lot of money from it. And so, as I said, this is the kind of imagery with Rotary that I don't normally see. So I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about that and just put into your mind ways where you can capture these sorts of imagery which would help reach your engagement levels with your social media feeds, and what achieve some success with what you're doing. And while we talk about the fish, I can't go past one of the greatest Rotary stories I've come across, where this poor gentleman from the UK who was participating in a charity swim as a merman accidentally, when we say accidentally, who knows, bought himself a GIMP suit. Some of the older members, if you don't know what a GIMP suit, I'd suggest you do not Google it now. Perhaps you do it later in the privacy of your own, well, you are in your own home. But it's this sort of a story which has turned a negative into a positive. So our Rotary stories don't generally appear on BuzzFeed, but it did in this case. And the good result from this is that the gentleman got some great attention. He had his link that was up to raise funds for what he was doing for the charity swim, and he raised quite a considerable amount of money, and turned a bit of an unfortunate, funny story into something positive. So yeah, I don't suggest you follow the same lead, but if you do have a GIMP suit at home, maybe you can find a Rotary useful purpose for it. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. So then when I talk about you can't miss sort of other bad imagery, you can't miss Rotary in action. Well, this is sort of the imagery that we don't want to put up on social media. These guys do not look like they're in action. So the headline is totally wrong here. So when we think about it, we've got to put, photographs of our club members in happy smiles and happy situations, engaged and doing things, not just sitting at a table, look like one of them's falling asleep. And then it leads back into, what do we actually talk about on social media? Well, I want you to talk about you. I want you to talk about you. I want you to share what your personal stories are, why you're involved with Rotary, why the light bulb went off on your head, above your head, to say, yes, this is why I'm in the organization. I want you to, have people to come and ask you about Rotary. You don't need they say, you've got to have a 30-second elevator pitch. Well, in this day and age, as soon as you open your mouth in an elevator, people are pushing the buttons to get off as quickly as possible. So all I suggest to you is, if people ask you about Rotary, or if you're wearing if you do wear your Rotary badge, and actually now's a good time. If we do get opportunities to go out to the store to get supplies and things like that, maybe wear your Rotary Club shirts, or a Rotary hat, or wear your badge. You never know the conversation that could come from, if you're wandering around Walgreens or Walmart or wherever, and someone stops you and says, "Oh, look, Rotary," and you talk about things. You never know. You might meet somebody there who needs some assistance from your club. But if people are going to come up to you and they say, "Okay, what's Rotary?" You say, "Well, look, Rotary, we help people. It's what we do," and then you can sort of go from there. So for me, Rotary gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me a reason for doing the things that I do. And, predominantly I'm known for just, posting all this stuff on social media, and I'm not the best at digging water wells or dinging the bells for the Salvation Army at Christmas time. But we all have our different talents, and we've got to sort of utilize them for the way of promoting Rotary. So for me, it gives me a sense of purpose. I have a big heart for our organization, a real love for it. And, as we all have encountered over the sort of time that we've been with Rotary, we get involved with the politics, and there's always some dramas and different things like that. But we always stay focused on the goal of what we're trying to achieve as an organization. And I say, sometimes if you're having issues, don't let Rotarians put you off Rotary. Don't let the individual personal dynamics you might have with people put you off the goal of the great things that our organization can do. So we need to sort of sometimes rise above those sorts of petty things. Because as we know, the world needs more Rotarians. It's really, really important that our organization gets more members, because we need more members to keep doing the good things that we do. But we don't just want to focus on numbers. We don't just want to treat people like another number, or we need 10 members or whatever like that. What we need to start focusing on is building relationships up with people. We need to tell our stories, and then invite that person to come on the journey and buy into the dream and all that sort of stuff. We need to start, working on these potential members, so that we know the effort that we make to get someone involved in our club is that they're going to stay involved. They're not just going to come in for a short amount of time and leave. And that's what happens if they felt like they're a number. So we don't want numbers, we want Rotarians. We want to turn someone who's just a member of a Rotary club into a Rotarian. So kind of in summary of my presentation, a couple of things. Tell your story. Why you're involved with the organization or what your club's doing. Look at your branding, make sure your logos and everything's all good. Make sure you have that kind of professional, even if you have fun, you can still kind of look somewhat professional. Utilize social media, particularly at this day and age where it's important for us to get our stories and messages out there, and then engage with your alumni. So if your club is affiliated with a Rotaract club or a Interact or whatever, get them involved. Maybe invite them to your next Zoom meeting or whatever, so engage with them and foster a relationship with them, so that they can hopefully, be affiliated with your club either as a member or in another closer way. So in closing, Rotary is the original social network. So thank you very much for my little presentation. And if there's time, I would happily answer any questions that you have.
Good, because we have had questions coming in. So people are interested in how your passion for Rotary became so strong. So can you share your Rotary kind of aha moment with us?
Okay. So, look, when I joined Rotaract in '99, I really wanted to meet friends. That was my main goal, was sort of the friendship base. And then I kind of, from then I, had some of those amazing opportunities. And I'm not an overly political person. I'm not a very not a religious sort of person. So this was one of these sorts of things that I just kind of fell into and really got a passion for. And it certainly ramped up once sort of social media kicked off around about 2006-07 sort of thing. I kind of just did it. And I'm a bit of a lateral thinker, and I'm a very sort of creative type of person. So I did things like graphics and stuff to use to, you know, promote Rotary, and certainly I got boosted with a lot of positive comment, and I just sort of kept doing it, and then it sort of grown from there. But my kind of Rotary moment, in 2009, my wife and I, we lost our son who was stillborn. And as you could imagine, it was a really horrible experience for us. But our Rotary District at that time and the district governor rallied support around us. And my wife and I got involved with a charity called the Stillbirth Foundation. And it raises money for research and other things like that. And so, you know, the district governor and then the district governor-elect at that time, you know, saw the work that we were doing. And so the district raised $20,000 in our son's name to go towards that. And that was a huge amount of money and a huge debt of gratitude that I give to my district in that they can help their own. And so all the stuff that I do, it feels like I'm sort of paying that back a little bit. And that was kind of my Rotary moment. But, you know, I've had so many different Rotary moments. In 2003, I went to India on a Rotaract exchange, and I visited a polio clinic, and I, you know, dropped some polio into a couple of kids, you know, gave them polio drops. That was a life-changing experience because I knew I'd saved their lives from polio. You know, I went to Vanuatu and helped build a children's hospital and different things. You know, so I've had all these amazing experiences. You know, I shared a beer with Jeff. You know, I mean, that was one of the most defining Rotary moments that I've had. You know, always got to have a laugh. You know, but you know, there's so many.
Actually, more than one beer.
Yeah, just more than one. That's right. That's right. You should. I'll have to get you to try the Vegemite beer. No, that's exactly right. It's to me, it's a collection of moments that I've had and people that I've met, which fulfills and sustains me. And you know, even like today, even the opportunity to speak to Bad Axe Rotary Club again is fulfilling my cup, so to speak, of positive energy, and hopefully things that I've said or has resonated with you to try and follow my lead, because it's really important that you know, we share our message, and we've got to get out of the habits of just confining ourselves to our weekly meetings. We've really got to ramp up the promotion of Rotary. And you know, people say, oh, look, I know I'm differing from your question a little bit there, but I know people say, oh, look, the foundation's important and all this kind of stuff. Yes, it is. But I honestly do think that the you know, public image of Rotary really has to rate high up there, if not at the very top, because if we don't talk about who we are, if we don't promote who we are, how do we expect that people are going to want to join our clubs? How do we expect people are going to want to contribute to our fundraisers or come along to our events? You know, we really need to get out there and start sharing our stories and promoting who we are to get the benefits from that. And then those benefits will flow on with things like foundation and flow on with all these other different spin-offs from that. So, thank you.
I have more questions for you. They keep popping up. So you mentioned one of the graphics in your presentations was about the Rotary journey and that graphic, that imagery. So one of the questions we had was, when you're talking to people and when you're posing that question about the Rotary journey, do you leave it open-ended, or do you find that younger generations maybe need some of the opportunities spelled out for them of what could come along that Rotary journey?
Look, I do leave it a little bit open-ended, but also in the same way, I kind of talk about it like I would if I was, say, like you're explaining a train journey or something like that. So you're getting on at this station, and then, you know, before you get to your end destination, wherever that is, you'll go through Grand Central Station, and then you'll go through this. And so I do say, look, there are opportunities through scholarship programs, through exchange, and through this and through that. And I do tell people some of the other opportunities that they can find if they, you know, want to do that. But then I do leave it a little bit open, and I say every Rotarian's journey is a little bit different. Our destination in some respects remains the same, and that is to, assist those in need and do great things and connect with people and all that other kind of stuff. But, I kind of leave it open for people to do as much as they think they want. Like, there'll be some Rotarians who we've encountered who are Rotarians really in name only, and they just come to a meeting and that's as much involvement as they have. Or then you've got, superly obsessed Rotarians like myself who do absolutely everything as possible as they can. So, there's a real, there's a real fine pendulum there. But, it's up to the person's individuality to find what their journey is going to be with our organisations, but we just need to show them the way in some respects.
So speaking of showing people the way, is there a way to gently encourage or invite non-Rotarians to sit in on a Zoom meeting? Have you seen this done incredibly well? Have you done it well?
Yeah. Look, again, it's certainly through my club, the Ponds. We were in a Facebook group called the Ponds Community, and so it's obviously made up of people who live actually in that sort of town, the Ponds, and so they've got their own Facebook group. And a lot of people post things like, "Oh, have you seen this dog? My dog's been lost in the street," whatever. Or people will put stuff. "Look, I've got gym equipment that I don't want anymore. Do you want to come pick it up?" It's a community noticey board sort of thing. And so we put up on there every week, if we're having a guest speaker or if, what's happening, and we've had some interest before. So if you've got a local Facebook groups that sort of represent your community or your town, I'd say join them individually and certainly utilize that utilize that function to promote what your club's up to or what speakers you may have. That has worked. But also to putting out positive messages and actually even spending some money to advertise on your Facebook page and you can do the specific targeting, to reach those people who live in your area who may, you might just want to target men, you might just want to target women, you might just want to target people between, 18 and 30 so that you can, sort of utilize the advertising features of Facebook to share your message if you've got a good guest speaker coming or something along those lines. It's not easy, I give it that. It's not easy to reach out to this new audience, but we've just got to sort of keep trying it.
So you've touched on Rotarians in name only, right? So one of our questions was, have you seen particularly good strategies for motivating Rotarians to get more involved in their club happenings?
Besides an electric prod? No.
Right, besides that one.
The old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. That's more of look, that more goes into the psychology of the human nature, of how we, motivate each other, or how we, I think if you can show that, if you're passionate about something, and hopefully some of that passion will rub off on someone else, but also we've got to understand too that, we're all individuals, we all have issues and pressures in our own life, and a lot of people can only contribute what they want to, or the biggest thing is that is a loss of engagement. So maybe sometimes it's taking that personal approach of saying to someone, "Look, Fred, Joe, Jeff, whatever, I haven't seen you come at our meeting for a while, or you don't seem to be that engaged. Look, is something going on? Can we help you?" And have a chat, have that kind of personal relationship and interpersonal communication with that person, and try to drum up some a little bit more motivation, a little bit more participation. But it's the same with anything. It's the same with getting your kids to do their homework. It's the same with whatever. Because we're all volunteers, it can be difficult to get that motivation out of them. But it's just a way of treating people the way that you want to be treated, and understanding that there will be some people that do as much as they think their abilities will be able to let them, and again, we just have to sort of hope that some of our passion will rub off on them.
We had one other question about, so if you have any more questions, now's your time to tap them away into me. We had one other question about social media and trying to find the balance between posting too much and being annoying and not posting enough. So is there like a sweet spot in the middle there about frequency?
So for your club, I would suggest you post maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And I would say what you probably have been doing, as I had a quick look at your page, post who your upcoming speaker is. I'd then perhaps post something about a personal thing. So perhaps you want to showcase one of your club members. So, get a photograph of them or get them to send through to you. Ask them some questions, give them a bit of a 15 minutes of fame, a bit of a spotlight, how long they've been involved with the club, what's the great thing about it, what do they do, all that sort of thing. Share some Rotary graphics or things that I've produced. If you are on Facebook, look up. It's called Rotary Rotary Graphics and Images. So hang on, I'm not sure if you're in that group, Jeff, or let me just get the proper name of it. God, I've been running it for 6 years. Okay, so it's called Rotary Club Members Public Image Graphics and Ideas Hub. And so there's we've got 6,000 members in there from all around the world. Mackenzie, I've just sent you that. That's the group link.
Perfect.
So
I'm sending it out to everyone in your chat right now, so you guys will all have
Oh,
it.
great. Perfect. And let me just give you this one as well. Some inspiring graphics are pretty good to you can use from that group or from my own page.
I steal from your page all the time. If you scrolled through our Facebook page at all, you probably saw a lot of your own artwork in there. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. No worries. That's fine. It's everything I create there is for Rotarians' use. If it helps, that's fantastic. And the times that I think, I post every day, but that's because I've got like 25,000 followers. So but for a club like you guys, 3-4 times a week, get updates of what's happening, great graphics, give people that value proposition or why you should be involved in our club. Then obviously sharing things from Rotary International and all that kind of good stuff. So, but I know when I'm going to say time, so I'd suggest the best times to post is probably between 6 o'clock and about 9 o'clock in the morning. People are getting up, going to work, or going to their lounge room, and they're on Facebook or on social media, so they might see a message. And then again, it's sort of the end of the evening or the end of the afternoon, evening as well. So some good times to post, and you can actually, I suggest you guys, if you haven't already, get like a social media committee, perhaps. Certainly, there should be more than just one person who's an administrator on your club's Facebook page. Because has come up a few times where a club member has left or died and no one has access. So, it's important to sort of keep that up. And, and then also scheduling. So, you might want to do all your work on Sunday and you can schedule things to go out on Monday and Tuesday or Thursday afternoon. And so you don't have to constantly monitor that all the time.
So one other social media related question is a handful of our clubs in our area have Interact chapters. Would you encourage the Interact chapter to have their own independent Facebook page?
Of course, sure.
Or Instagram, probably more like Instagram, because high school kids don't use Facebook anymore because their parents are on it.
Yeah, probably going to
probably
be
a TikTok,
more than anything. No, I encourage. Anything helps. If they, obviously, you still want to have some kind of
adult oversight, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was not going to say control, but no, any opportunity to promote and to inform is great. You know, I think anything that we do is great. Like, for example, I mean, Mackenzie, if you're on TikTok yourself, you know how, I don't know if you are, but you know the sort of, everyone does the sort of the dance and you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's nothing funnier. I think there's nothing better than seeing baby boomers do dancing and you know, unchoreographed, terrible kind of, nothing funnier than seeing that kind of stuff. You know, it's so maybe you can get some of your club members to
get ready, Bad Axe.
Yeah, exactly right. Do something funny. You know what I mean? And that's what I say is, it's all about the engagement. It's all about stopping that person from scrolling on by and stopping and, oh, that looks like a bit of fun. A couple of years ago, Ron Burton, who was a past international president of Rotary, he came to Sydney, and it was during that time when, do you guys remember the Gangnam Style? You know, remember the Gangnam?
Yeah.
The Gangnam Style.
So
there's a video. It's on YouTube actually. There's a video of me getting him to do the Gangnam Style kind of thing, right? And you know, he was like in his 60s or whatever. You know? So it was really, you know, it's awkward but funny and all the rest of it. So I put that up on social media, shared it around. Well, every time he went to an event, or, you know, particularly when he went to like Korea, or when he went to like, you know, I think it was maybe even in Thailand or something like that, you know, they got him up on stage and they got him to the Gangnam, and also he really appreciated that. But, you know, it's you know, it's doing things that are out of the norm for us as a club or as membership. You don't expect to see the club members doing that kind of stuff, but it's all about engagement. It's all about showing the fun side of our organization, whether or not, you know, the club members really want to do that. But, you know, I'd love to see, like, you know, you've got your district governors and the G train on here, you know, maybe you guys can all do the G train dance or something like that. Who knows?
A dance off. I just
the dance off. That's right. Yeah, that's it.
That sounds
dance
fantastic.
off, but not your pants off. You know?
Yes. No, Ken, keep your pants on. No. So, I have a couple questions related to, so one question about fundraising for polio right now in the midst of kind of this global health crisis. Your thoughts on that? I see a big head shake no. So you want to elaborate?
The reasons for that is, I think we should be focused on at this moment is engaging with each other as club members and engaging with each other in the community. Thinking of ways how clubs can maybe give back to the food bank or support outreach programs, people who are doing it tough, who've lost their jobs, and how our clubs can help. It's very difficult to raise funds through online means unless you're like, you know, unless you're sort of doing, you know, GoFundMe or anything like that. But this is a golden opportunity for us to take stock of what we have done in the past and what new ideas can come from this in doing fundraisers going into the future, when sort of, if it's never going to return back to normal after this, but something a little bit, a semblance of normalcy. So but as this moment, look, I think you know, fundraising for these sorts of things, I think is just not something we should be really focused on. I think we should be focused on is continuing and building on our relationships and engaging with our club members in our districts and certainly those in the community, because I've known already that there are some clubs and some members who have used COVID-19 really as not an excuse, but just as as an opportunity to say, look, okay, well, we're not meeting anymore. We're not going to want to do Zoom, so we're winding up the club. Or some members are like, oh, look, I don't know how to do Zoom. I don't want to get involved in the internet. I don't want to be in Rotary anymore. So, you know, we are going to lose those sorts of members. So I think our energy should be focused on you know, as I said, maintaining the relationships we have with people, and then also working on ways on continuing the wheel of Rotary turning and promoting who we are. And then after this is all said and done, then we can get back to fundraising and doing all the great things that we do.
So two last things. One's a comment, one's a question. So one, I'm supposed to let you know that you have fans from down under that have joined us. So they are saying hello to you. through,
I already
through the
spoke about
chat message here.
I've already, my friends from down under who are joining me on the chat, I have already spoken about the virtues of Vegemite and how intrinsic it is, to the lifeblood of Australia moving forward. And I said I will probably release a Vegemite light version for the Americans that contains about 90% sugar and 10% Vegemite, which they've all seemed to be,
We're on
happy
board
with.
with. We're on board with. And
Yeah,
then
you guys get that marsurmallow fluff? You guys have you seen that marshmallow fluff stuff? Yeah. Well, maybe I'll just mix marshmallow fluff with Vegemite. I'm sure it's a surefire win.
It's a surefire. It's an American success.
Correct.
So the last question that we have is actually from Dolores, who heard you last week, and she is asking that you repeat what you said last Saturday, which I can't remember usually what I say about 5 seconds after I say it. So repeat what you said last Saturday about not being able to go back to doing things the way that we did pre-COVID-19. If you remember your comments around that.
Sure. Let's not get back to doing the things we did before COVID-19. How's that? Is that right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe if it was recorded, the amount of stuff that comes out of my mouth goes at like 90 miles an hour. I've got attention deficit disorder. I've got no idea what I say half the time. It goes straight out. Look, what I was sort of saying is that I suppose is that let's utilize this technology in a much better way. If I was to be a district governor, say, going forward, and we know we've got to have presidents' meetings and all this other kind of thing. Let's utilize this. Let's give people some of their time back, because I know a lot of time spent with Rotary, and half of it's traveling to places. I know face-to-face is very important, but things like, if you've got club board meetings or if you've got presidents' meetings or things like that, think about doing them via Zoom. And as we know, these things actually can be done and can be done quite well, and you can mute people and you can stick to times and all the rest of it. So I think let's just not do all this great work that we've been doing with video conferencing and embracing sort of different ways of doing things online, to when things go back to normal, that all gets pushed by the wayside. So, think about ways of doing things. I also do suggest, that this is a new way of your club making some new traditions. So don't bring back the throwbacks of what your club does. America, it's a little bit different because you guys do fun things like happy dollars and all that kind of stuff, and I really like that. In Australia, we sort of view things on a negative, where it's kind of fine sessions and a sergeant session, and whatever, Mackenzie, I'm fining you $10 because you're not wearing your tie, this sort of stupid stuff. So let's pick up the good things that our club does to sort of bring it going forward. But I don't mind you. The pledges is pretty cool and whatever else, but just don't sing on Zoom, please. Just leave the singing alone. Okay, just leave the singing alone. Hopefully that kind of answers that question, maybe.
Excellent. Well, that is all my questions, and I want to be obviously respectful of your time that you've shared with us. So thank you so much for sharing with our club, and I'll send it back over to Cheryl to wrap us up.
Okay. Thanks, Evan. I really do appreciate you coming and joining us. For us, night, you early morning, just getting your day started. I want to thank everybody who did join the call. I hope you at least took something away from the meeting. My guess is that if you come up with any other questions that you forgot to ask Evan, you could probably check him out on his Facebook page and ask questions through there too, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. If you're not following him, make sure you follow him.